Hey everyone, Jamie here from my as yet unnamed new YouTube channel. My first video is going to be about an upcoming crossing of the Atlantic that my partner Lindsay and I have on the Queen Mary 2. Now there's lots of YouTube videos about the Queen Mary 2 experience, but we're actually travelling in Britannia Club class. One level up from the standard Britannia balcony, but below the more familiar Princess suites and grill suites that you see reviewed on YouTube. I'm hoping in this video to concentrate on the differences between the standard Britannia experience and what you get with Britannia Club. So why the Queen Mary 2 and why Britannia Club class? Well, it's long been on my bucket list to cross the Atlantic by ship, and an upcoming sabbatical from work for a long service award has made this a possibility. So Lindsay and I had a look, found there was a cruise that fitted well with the summer holidays that she gets as a teacher, and we've booked it and we're off. But it's not a direct crossing, we're actually going via the Norwegian fjords, Iceland and Halifax for a 14-night adventure. Why did we choose Britannia Club? Well, as a holiday of a lifetime, we wanted something a step above the base fare, but still the Princess Grill Suite and the Queen's Grill Suite are above our price range. So we took a middle ground, booked the Britannia Club, and we're looking forward to seeing all the benefits that we get with that. So while you get many benefits with Britannia Club, and you can see them scrolling by on the screen now, for us the main benefits of booking this were priority boarding, because who doesn't love getting onto a ship first and skipping some queues, and the anytime dining with our own private table. We're not really the kind of people that would want to share with strangers, nor do we want to tie ourselves down to a specific dining time in case we want a bit more of a rest after a shore excursion, or if there's a specific show we want to catch. So those are the main benefits for us, as well as the balcony, so we can see those Norwegian fjords passing by at our leisure. And while it's not the only class that gets you a balcony, you can get one of those in Britannia class as well. It wasn't a huge update in price to get the extra benefits that I've just talked about. And breaking news just in, it's a couple of weeks before we sail now, and Cunard have just announced that they will be removing the complimentary room service option from anyone in Britannia class. It's fair to say this has upset the Cunard community, and you can see here looking through the comments on Cruise Critic that upset might be an understatement. A lot of people are upset because they've done this retrospectively, including to people who have already booked. So if you previously thought you were getting the advertised complimentary room service, if you're in a Britannia class room, turns out, except for breakfast, you're not getting that. The good news is, and yet another perk for booking Britannia Club, complimentary room service for breakfast, lunch, dinner and late night snacks is still included for Britannia Club guests. There was a little confusion around this, but I've confirmed directly with my cruise manager that this is still going to be the case. So yeah, yet another perk for Britannia Club class. And it would have massively upset us if that wasn't included, especially the bait and switch of changing it after we've booked. But luckily, we're going to be okay for our sailing. Good morning from our Airbnb here in Southampton on Embarkation Day. Just a couple of things to tell you about some of the benefits you get on Embarkation Day with the Britannia Club class. I have here my boarding pass. First off, we have an 11:45 AM arrival time, which I believe is earlier than you'll get if you're travelling in standard Britannia class, though not as early as if you're travelling the grill suite. And the other key words here that you might see at the bottom are priority boarding. Not quite sure what that means yet, but I believe you can use the priority check-in lanes when we get to the port. Off we go.
Channel 23 of your stateroom television.
And here we are in room 12012. Welcome. So it's a few days later now, and Lindsay and I have been exploring the ship, but I wanted to talk more about the differences between Britannia class and Britannia Club class. Now, the room itself is, in all intents and purposes, a standard Britannia balcony room, but there are some additions that you get in club class. No structural changes to the room, but just little things they've done to make the experience a little more comfortable. First off, you get a full bottle of sparkling wine on embarkation awaiting in your room. In standard Britannia class, it's a half bottle. Not much, but a little something. And secondly, in standard Britannia class, your service tray just has a kettle on it with instant coffee, tea bags, etc. Here in Britannia Club class, as well as the kettle, we get an Illy coffee machine with some Illy coffee pods as well. That's been quite nice to be able to quickly make an espresso that's a little better than you can get with instant coffee. Thirdly, I'm told we get fluffier robes, so I'll put a picture of the robes on the screen, but in Britannia class you get standard waffle robes, whereas here we get the much fluffier, towelier robes, and Lindsay and I have been using those sitting out sipping whiskey of an evening when it's been quite cold up in the Norwegian fjords. And finally, in the room you get mineral water replaced daily, so we're getting 2 bottles of mineral water in our room every day, but the water from the tap in the bathroom's perfectly drinkable. Sometimes it's nice to just have some mineral water. All in all, little additions to the room, but for us well worth it, especially that coffee machine. Other than the additions in the room, the other main difference you'll find with Britannia Club class is where you dine. The dining room is a separate area of the main Britannia restaurant in a little corner, and you get your own table for the duration of the voyage. So you're not going to be sat with other people, and you're going to know exactly what table you're sat at for the rest of the voyage, and you can dine at any time. This is probably the major difference, and for us it was one of the bigger benefits. In standard Britannia, you'll be assigned either 6:30 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. dining, whereas we're free to dine anywhere between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. at a time of our choosing. We just turn up, go to the restaurant, sit down at our table, and the waiter will bring the menus over. The menus are also another difference. The Britannia restaurant menu changes daily, and we have access to that in Britannia Club. Different dishes available every day, but Britannia Club also has a second section to the menu with some available everyday dishes just for the Britannia Club folks. For example, you can always get hold of a steak, and there are also some other desserts available too. Now, there are also some additional dishes only available to Britannia Club that you need to order at lunchtime. I had the rack of lamb, it was absolutely amazing, so it's worth looking at the menu ahead of time, maybe when you're having your lunch, and saying, hey, this evening I'd like the rack of lamb. We've really enjoyed the dining. The food has been really good, the service has been even better, and we've loved that anytime dining. So for us, that's been one of the main benefits of the Britannia Club class, and definitely in the future I think we'd pay for that again.
For me to say she's in your palette is an achievement. Gary, back me up on this. Help, help. Okay, so I'm just she's radiant. Yeah. Because she's in her sphere. She's in her aura. She's in her...
One additional benefit I forgot to mention, you still get included room service with Britannia Club. We took advantage of that a couple of times, having food delivered to our room. Many of the dishes do have a supplement that you need to pay extra for, even in Britannia Club, but there's still a variety of dishes that are included as standard. I'll put the menu on the screen. In standard Britannia, except for breakfast, all room service is now chargeable. So that is a great benefit for those still. That's a great benefit for Britannia Club. So here I am back home. Disembarkation was a lot slower than embarkation, but to be fair to Cunard, that was down to US immigration slowing down the line. As Britannia Club, we did have priority disembarkation, meaning we had an earlier disembarkation time, but we were a lot slower than that in the end. However, disembarking from a cruise is a lot more pleasant than disembarking from an aeroplane. Rather than waiting in an airport queue, we just sat in Sir Samuel's with a coffee until they called our group. And then it was about 30 minutes to disembark from the Queen Mary too. So all in all, not too bad. And we probably were off the boat earlier than people travelling in standard Britannia Club. We really enjoyed our crossing overall, even if the lowest point was having to miss our Canada stop in Halifax. This was actually down to icebergs. No, I'm not joking there. Due to a risk of ice, we had to take a longer route from Iceland to New York. So this was going to take a bit longer, and they had to cut out the Halifax stop to make sure we arrived in New York on time. A little disappointing, but obviously safety comes first. I don't think anyone can argue with that. Instead of that, we got an extra sea day, so just more time to spend eating, drinking and watching lectures, really. In overall review of the cruise, we found it excellent. The food was good, the service was even better, and those Britannia Club benefits of the fluffier robe, the in-room coffee machine, priority boarding, and really anytime dining made it for us. They were really the icing on the cake that took it from a good crossing to a great crossing for us. I now wanted to share a few tips that we learned on our crossing that might be useful if you were going to do a similar crossing with Cunard. Some of these only apply to Britannia Club or above, but many of them will apply whatever class you may be crossing in. Tip number 1. If you're departing from Southampton and you're in Britannia Club or above, make sure you do hunt out that priority check-in line. It really helped us speed past the crowds at check-in, get checked in and get in the waiting area ready to board the ship. From arriving in our taxi at our designated boarding time to being on board was less than an hour, and it's only because we hunted out that priority boarding line. Secondly, if you're in Britannia Club, you really only need to wait for the maitre d' in the Britannia Club dining room on the first night. Once you know where your table is, speed past anyone queuing at the maitre d' desk, just go straight to your table, your waiters will spot you and they'll bring over the menu and waters for you. That really sped up getting to our dinner table every evening. Now the tips that would apply whatever class you were crossing in. We did do the behind the scenes tour, which is offered to people on a transatlantic crossing. This does cost extra. It's about $120, I think, but it was 3 hours and it was absolutely fascinating. We saw exactly how they keep a cruise ship running, everything you need to know about how the food is prepared, how they get the luggage on board, and even into the medical area and seeing the staff-only pub, the Pig and Whistle. Absolutely fantastic, fascinating, and well worth the $120 or so that you have to pay. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let me take any video or photos on that tour. Indeed, I had to leave my phone in my room to make sure I wouldn't take any photos. But yeah, well worth doing. For the room, take magnetic hooks. Most of the walls are magnetic. We took some magnetic hooks we bought on Amazon and used them to hang up everything from my camera through to coats, etc., and even our cruise card in its lanyard at the end of the day. If you find something won't hang on a hook because it's too heavy, you can just use multiple hooks. And finally, you can take up to 1 litre of alcohol on board into your stateroom in your checked bags. We were on a cruise that went through the Norwegian fjords with evening sail-bys. We took a bottle of Scottish whisky and had a wee dram most evenings that we were sailing through the fjords. So, has this convinced you that Britannia Club is a worthwhile upgrade above the standard Britannia class fare? Let me know down in the comments if you would consider travelling Britannia Club, or would you stick with the regular Britannia? Or do you think it would be better to upgrade to one of the suites? It'd also really help me if you liked this video or gave me any tips for future videos that I may make, given this is the first YouTube video I've uploaded. Thanks for watching and happy sailing!